many people believe that they are blocked by reality. They tell themselves, this is just who I am, or I'm not confident enough. I could never do that. I'm too old to change. I've certainly had little dalliance with that belief in myself last year. I always ruin things. You need to be realistic. You can't have dreams that big. People like me don't get to live a life like that. If any of these are resonating, you know what I'm talking about. But what if some of those thoughts are not actually the truth? What if they are old stories that have been formed through pain, fear, rejection, conditioning, or your mind's way of protecting itself from disappointment? Because a limiting belief doesn't usually announce itself going, hello, I'm a limitation. It's just something that you adopt and you start to believe. It often sounds like a sensible way to think. It sounds familiar. It sounds safe. But many people are not blocked by what is actually possible for them. They're blocked by the beliefs that they have never stopped to question. So in this episode, we're talking about limiting beliefs, where they come from, how they shape your confidence and your relationships, your decisions, what opportunities they block for you, and why the work is not actually to just think positively. The work is actually to begin separating truth from your conditioning, because a limiting belief is often an old agreement that you just made with your pain or your fear or whatever it was that you needed at the time, safety, protection. And if you made that agreement unconsciously, you can begin to question it consciously.
Welcome to the Art of Beautiful Thinking. My name is Yvette and I'm here with my co-host Kat. And in today's episode of the Authentic Life Blueprint series, we're actually exploring limiting beliefs. And we're looking at the stories that you actually mistook for truth and how they can quietly shape your confidence, your choices, your relationship, and your sense of possibility.
I love this work. It's so good. I love working on limiting beliefs because it's one of those things that is so brilliant. It's like cracking open your whole mindset. And it's just it's a great way to do it. You know, you realize you move very quickly from, I'm not good enough, I can't do this, oh my God, to, why am I thinking like that? Hang on a second.
Yeah.
Is that me talking, or is that something that I've always believed because someone else has said that to me?
Exactly. And I think it's that thing of, I always go back to that onion layer and pulling back and asking yourself, why do I actually think that?
Yeah.
I remember there was an analogy. Well, it was not even an analogy, actually. It was a story of someone rocking up to Christmas, and they went to their folks' place for Christmas, and they were putting together the leg of ham, and they were preparing it, and they cut off the ends of the leg of ham and put it into the pot and did all the glazing and everything like that, and then put it into the oven. And the person who rocked up, I think it was the daughter or something, turned around and said to her mum, why do you cut the ends off? And she says, oh, that's how Grandma used to do it as well.
Yeah.
And she kind of went, okay. She goes, so, does it make it taste better? I don't know. That's just what we do. She just continued doing it.
Yep.
And then she eventually caught up with Grandma and says to Grandma, I noticed that Mum was cutting off the ends of the ham. Why did you do it? What's the purpose of doing it? And she goes, it was the only way to get it to fit in the pot.
Yeah, exactly. I love it.
And so people doing things without questioning why they are doing it. Oh, that's just how Grandma did it, so that's how I do it. But do you need to do it the same way? Do you need to adapt it? Do you need to make it evolve? Do you need to do something different? And does it actually work for you? Do you need to do it at all? So it's the whole thing of people not really questioning why they're doing what they're doing. And that goes the same with the limiting belief. We don't question it. It's like you just allow the belief to keep taking space up in your brain.
Yeah, you keep going along. Yeah, you absolutely do. That's 100% in loads of different ways. And I think it's such a powerful thing to do. I know when I worked in my justice role, one of the things I absolutely loved doing was watching offenders come in and just go, I can't change because of this, and this. And sitting on the outside, not being emotionally involved, I would go, oh, there's a cognitive distortion there. Okay, yep. And I'd see about 4 different things and I'd go, okay, let's talk about this. And it would dawn on them. And you should see the relief on their face. Oh, just because I was brought up in a house full of drug addicts doesn't mean that I'm fated to become one. No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
And the relief, because they'd been told all their life by their parents, their family, their teachers, or whomever, their people around them who had looked down their nose at them. And it's called labeling. It's actually a criminological self-fulfilling prophecy. You label people, they become like that. And you can twist that. You can flip that power. And instead of labeling yourself and going, oh God, I'm never going to make it, you can say, actually, I'm going to do it. and I believe that I've got this and I can make this happen. Your brain is a supercomputer. And if you want to muck around with the software and the programming that is running the programs in your brain every day, and you become the boss of that, you are going to take charge of a supercomputer that we can't even build these days because it's so immensely complex and amazing. And the power that
Yeah.
you will harness in yourself will be mind-boggling.
Totally.
Mm.
Yeah, I find it fascinating because it's the whole thing of allowing ourselves. Because I mean, sorry, I'm going to rewind a little bit there. A limiting belief for me is not. It's also not just something that you're thinking negatively about. It can also be the way that you've structured your whole environment and your behavioral
Absolutely.
patterns as well.
Yeah.
So it's how you organizing your life as well.
Yeah.
And so you look at your life and it could even be seeing repeating patterns happening over again, like you're seeing a certain situation that keeps popping itself up over and
Yeah.
over again. And you can look at it and go, woe is me, do the whole victim mindset around it, or you can just keep going through the motion with it and just going, well, this keeps happening to me. Or you can stop and look at it and go, why is this happening to me?
Why is it
Yeah.
happening? Yeah.
And not from a perspective of woe was me, but what am I getting out of this? There's something that I'm getting out of this, or that I need to actually learn about myself in this situation that I
Yeah.
haven't done. And until I do, this pattern is going to keep happening. So
Yeah.
that's where that observer kicks in. It's really important to take a step out and watch yourself and listen to the thoughts and what the words you're using, the dialogues you're actually having. So when you're actually having a conversation with someone, are you always complaining about something? Or are you talking about what good is going on in your life?
Yeah.
So, we've always got a choice. We can focus on the bad or we can focus on the good. The idea is to be in the neutral, like to be neutral between the good and the bad and see them both for what they are. But you don't want to focus too much on either end because that means you end up, you oscillate.
You
Too
become
much
an emotional roller coaster. And what you need to be is emotionally calm and centered, because then
correct.
you can go to, like I was going into work this morning and thinking, I wonder what today will bring. Oh well, whatever it brings, it's fine. I'll cruise along because I'm contained within myself. I don't need to be overreacting to external situations. So, and that's probably a belief that I have cultivated probably in the last 12 months and really worked on, because I knew that I probably wasn't, showing up in certain workplaces without negativity because of the experiences that I've had recently. So again, like you say, it comes back to peeling those onions away, and it's work that you can do on yourself. And the beautiful part of it is that when you start to really examine your negative beliefs, sometimes they will just lose power like that. They'll disappear in a poof of smoke because you'll go, why am I doing that? Actually, I'm not going to do that anymore. And you just take your power back, and then that literally creates a massive shift in your life. It's very subtle in you, but the way that you present to the world becomes really different.
Yeah. I know if I think of a limiting belief that I used to buy into was a self-worth one. It was all around not being worthy enough of things. And that would play out in all different areas of my life. And it wouldn't necessarily play out with those words of, oh, I'm not worthy.
No.
It would be feelings of insecurity about something, or feelings if other people are talking about me in a bad way, when I'd leave a room.
Yeah.
Or not applying for a particular job because I didn't think I'd get it. So I would actually hold myself back from being able to do things, or not open myself up in conversation with people because I was concerned that I wasn't good enough.
Yeah.
And that was happening, as I said, in all of these different pockets of my life. And it wasn't until I recognized that and saw that the thought, but also the pattern that was playing out in different areas, that I kind of went, wow, okay. And then I came back and I went, well, okay, what am I getting from this? What am I getting from the belittling myself? Because that was basically what I was doing.
What were you getting from it? What was the payoff?
Well, I think the payoff was victim. It was
right.
victim mentality, yeah.
That's a gutsy thing to say, to be able to sit there and say, yes, I behave that way. Because I think we've all done that. Hard to admit that to yourself.
And you think, we talk about shadow work and stuff like that, and that's pretty much, it was a shadow side.
Yeah.
If you were to probably have a conversation with me or things like that, you probably wouldn't have thought that I had this, victim mentality, but it was definitely playing out.
Yeah.
And it was subtle. It wasn't in my face. It was really subtle.
Yes.
but it was preventing me from doing certain things. And I think I just got to a point where I just went, enough. I'm not a victim.
Yeah.
And I actually am someone who I really dislike that victim mentality within me. And it's also that
Mhm.
thing of accepting that that's a part of me, that's a shadow side of me.
Yes, it's
And that
very
when I'm
annoying.
out of balance, so I look at it and I go,
Yeah.
when I'm out of balance, that will come up. And especially if I'm in highly stressed situations where a lot of, like I'm really freaked out over something,
Mm.
those old thought patterns will come up. But these days they don't have a hold of me. I'm just able to see them and go, interesting. Okay,
You
so
identify them
you're
now.
still there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're
Now
still
you can
there.
go, "I see you. I
Yeah,
see you.
exactly. I see you, but you're not going to control me now.
You're not
I'm
controlling me,
letting you
no."
go.
And
Yeah.
that's the ultimate thing, isn't it? Like, so when we talk about self-growth and we talk about mindset, we're not saying that you're gonna use brain bleach and clear out everything and
Mm.
totally change your personality. What we're saying is that you're gonna get control over you and doing exactly that and going, I sat on the couch the last 2 days, did nothing, and I could hear the victim mentality in my head. "I'm too tired. I've been doing this. I've been doing that." Got up this morning and I went to the gym and I had the best day because I felt great. I fueled myself correctly and I exercised. I knew I'd be sitting at a desk for the majority of the day. And I went, do I want to have low step counts every day? No, I'm just going
Yeah.
to have to work this out. And also, I am sick of being a victim who whinges and whines and goes, "Oh, all these woe is me, all these terrible things have happened." Just get on with it, make the best of it. That's how I talk to myself. And I wasn't able to do that because I've moved into victim on numerous occasions about things where I've been unable to do that.
Yeah. And I think it's having that honest conversation with yourself of recognizing the limiting belief, because it's not bad. It's not a bad thing to have a limiting belief.
No, it's
Okay. We
normal.
we all we
Normal.
all have them. It's quite
Yeah.
normal.
Yep.
It's just recognizing where those beliefs are actually taking over your life and
Mm.
holding you back from doing the things or achieving the things or being the person that you really want to be.
Yeah.
And again, it's asking yourself, well, what am I getting out of that? So again, for me, if I say it's the victimhood, but it was also the thing of not having to put myself out there as well. Yeah. So if I don't put myself out there, I won't fail, will
Yeah.
I? At whatever it is, I won't
Yep.
fail.
Yep.
So if I don't put myself out there, I'm safe
Yeah.
because I
Yep.
won't have to fail. But
Yep.
then if I do that as well, I'm not actually growing. I'm not evolving. I'm not becoming that
You become
person that
stagnant. Yeah.
yeah. And I have these dreams and these goals that I want
Yep.
to achieve, and I won't do that. And then the guilt will come in of,
Yeah.
well, yeah, not doing anything. Look at you. You're silly. Look what you're doing. And so it's this, and these are all these little patterns and limiting beliefs that just
Mm.
have a cyclic behavior that
Yeah.
comes out, and it's just recognizing it and going, haha, okay. And seeing, as I said, how it spirals into something else.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like, oh,
And it does. It
wow, look at
affects so
that.
many things. That's the thing. It
Mm,
doesn't just go into one area of your life. It bleeds into
no.
everything. And
Mm,
that's the key, isn't it? Is when we talk about personal growth and we talk about identifying limiting beliefs, I think there is a lot of shame and self-bullying tied to that stuff. A lot of
oh,
people
yeah.
engage in that. And that is
Yeah.
the most unhelpful thing that you can do. And it's a subtle difference, but you don't bash yourself. Everyone's got limiting beliefs. Everybody who is trying to move forward in their relationship with their self and their growth is coming up against issues that they've identified all the time. And the deeper you go, the more you'll identify. It's
Mm,
just that you get better at doing it. And those things that are those limiting beliefs over time, they lose their grip, they lose their
yeah,
power on you.
they
Yeah.
do. They do. And I mean, the thing about it is you may be sitting there saying, well, where did they come from? Well, they
Mm.
can come from anywhere in our life that we have chosen to hold on to. We've made a decision from some aspect of our life, and we've gone, okay, that's truth, and we've held on to it. And now that can come from your childhood, any of the environments, being at school and being bullied at school, and people saying certain things about you, and then after a period of time, you actually take that on. It could be a
Mm.
family member saying stuff. Could
Yep.
even be expectations that are put on you that you believe are unrealistic
Mm.
expectations, or
Mm.
expectations of that you'll never achieve anything.
Mm.
Again, when I was in school, I had teachers basically telling me that I was never going to
Mm.
become anything. And that's just because if I look back on it, they were racist fucks. That's why.
Mm. Yeah, they didn't know what to
But
tell
I didn't
themselves.
know that at the time. I didn't at the
Yeah.
time. I just thought, oh my God, my teachers are telling me that I'm a loser. But
Yeah.
when I look at it back now, I can look at it and go, no, they were actually quite racist. And they were racist about the fact that I was a European living in Australia.
Yeah, I copped
And
that
you
a
just
lot
go,
too. Dirty
wow.
Pom. Yep, yep, same
Yeah.
shit
Yeah.
that now we look back on and we think that was so damaging in so many ways. I think the other really interesting thing where I see a lot of limiting beliefs shifting to now, because times have changed, is an expectation that life should not have any pain and that you shouldn't
Mm,
have any stress and that everything should
mm.
flow smoothly. And if it's not gonna do that, then God damn it, we're not leaving the house. I see that
Well,
a
you,
lot too. I see that, and I've seen that in myself. I've seen that in myself where I've gone, I don't wanna do this. I wanna have this, this, and this, and I want this perfection. And I'm like, well, it's like going into a relationship and being married, and you want your marriage to be beautiful and gorgeous and loving and wonderful every single day. And that is not reality. That's not how
no,
life works.
no. And
So
as soon as it's not, you start going, oh, we're going to divorce. We're going to
yeah, yeah.
divorce because, it's like, well, no, no, you're not. It's just, you're
It's
having
2
a,
humans, who 2
yes, two
humans who
humans
go up and
having a
down and
moment. Exactly.
exactly,
Exactly
exactly,
right.
and if you've chosen well, you'll manage to work your way through it. So, absolutely, there's gonna be limiting beliefs, and then you need to question them and don't expect them to just resolve, but expect them to lose their power over you. And
Yeah.
then accept that, there are challenges in this life, but the key to going through those challenges, of course, is self-relationship, isn't it?
It is. It is. And it's interesting when you talk about the letting go, like that it'll no longer have a hold on you. And I think that's the thing to ask yourself as well, is when you're recognizing these patterns and when you're recognizing the thought patterns as well, is to ask
Mm,
yourself that question of, well, what am I getting out of this?
mm,
And also, do I want this to continue to have a hold on me?
mm.
Because it's your choice. No one else can make that decision for you, only you can.
When I was sort of studying psych, one of my professors said, everybody has weird quirks and dysfunctions. Everyone's got
Yes.
them. Everyone's got some
Yes.
weird belief or some way they carry on, whatever. The issue is when a quirk or a behavior or a belief becomes dysfunctional, when it starts to, as you say, affect your life and make your life a mess. So I know after I lost my daughter, after I lost Charlotte, I lost all faith and trust in doctors. And there was only one doctor I trusted, and it was the guy that saved my life. And I went through a bit of a stage there where my negative belief and my it had been so awfully traumatic what had happened, and I was in such a sea of loss and depressed and PTSD and all the things and very ill that I thought, you know what? I'm not letting any doctor get near me ever again except for that one doctor, which is ridiculous because he was an obstetric gynecologist and, I might need a surgeon one day or something else. Touch wood, I don't. Or, you can't do that. You can't do that. It's another limiting belief. And from that limiting belief, I would go through lots of panics around when I was still recovering my health. Well, what happens if I go and see one of the local GPs and they do a bad job and they do what that other doctor did, which was neglect and negligent care, and I end up going back into hospital again and nearly dying. And so I went and I relived that over and over and over. And eventually I went and saw a trauma psych who said, that is a limiting belief. You cannot just go saying all doctors are shit, because actually the majority of doctors are great. You just get the odd one here and there who are whatever that make bad decisions, or they're burned out, or whatever it is, or some of them just should have quit being a doctor many years ago because they've become very jaded, which was what I had. And so we had to work through that so that I could feel safe actually getting medical care again. And because I also wanted to have children. She said, you're not going to be able to
Mhm.
have children successfully living where you do if you don't form a relationship with a GP you can trust. And you've also got to understand that the medical system does try and do its best by you. So, it was a journey. But that was a belief that could have stopped me from having children. At one point, I said, I'm never going to get pregnant. I'm never going to have children again.
But again, it goes back to the comment that I made before, which was if you want to have change in your life, it has to be you that makes that change.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
ultimately, it boils down to, what is important to you?
Yeah, and that's where I was coming from is if you've got dreams or goals that you want to achieve, or in this case, you wanted to have kids again down the track, then
Mm,
there are things that you need to do differently
yeah.
to make these things happen.
Yep.
And if that is walking through fear and letting go of certain things that you've formulated a belief around so
Mm,
you can actually bring something new into your life,
yeah.
then I think that's a really important thing to do. You've got to let go. You've got to be
Yep.
able to move
Yep.
through that. And it's also recognizing, as I said, whether you want that thing to continue to have a hold on you. Because a lot
Mm.
of the times we will make a decision out of pain on something.
Yeah,
And
or just jump into something without considering the ramifications.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah. And when you've made certain decisions from, like, say, from a kid, for instance, who's been bullied or who's had a traumatic upbringing or stuff like that, you're making decisions from pain.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
not necessarily
And
making them
fear.
from a point of view of,
Yeah.
from a point of view of clarity.
No.
And sometimes that's a survival thing too, that you go, well, I've got to survive this. So you do these things to protect yourself.
Mm,
But the
mm.
thing is that may work in that instance, but it's not going to work for the rest of your life, and it'll actually start to unfold
Yeah,
in a negative way. So,
absolutely. The
yeah.
coping skills that get you through survival in childhood do not work as an adult because your
No.
body changes, you've grown up, people aren't going to tolerate these behaviors. I've had many
Yeah.
conversations like that. And the other thing is, if you try something and you fail, because invariably we all do, it doesn't mean that you're not good at that thing. It
No.
just means that you've maybe got to find a different way of doing it. And sometimes you've only got to make an adjustment of 2 mil. You know what I mean? You're
Yeah, well,
climbing
it's
up a
not,
rock
yeah.
face. You're climbing up a rock face. You fell back down because you couldn't get a good hand and foothold. Well, then, move slightly to the left. There's better ones over here, and you can still get up that rock face.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing, is looking at all the different paths that are in front of you.
Yep.
This is always a choice of which one to go down.
Yeah.
And going, oh, I'm going to go down this one, rather than I'm just automatically going to react and go down this one.
Mm. Mm.
So it's recognizing that. But how do you recognize that? And that goes back to what you said before. It happens through self-relationship. It happens through really starting to understand who you are at the
Yeah.
core.
Knowing
And
yourself.
yeah,
Mm.
knowing yourself. And how do you know yourself? And it's funny, and I think we go through a life as well thinking, oh, I know myself. It's like, do
I
you
don't
really?
spend any time with myself and I don't listen to my thoughts, but I know myself.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, exactly
Yes.
right.
I listen to all my friends and everyone around me telling me who I am, but yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But have you ever actually just sat back and sat with you? And that's the other thing too. I don't know. I've lost count of the amount of people that have said to me, "Oh, I can't sit with my own
Oh,
thoughts," and
yeah.
I find that so sad.
It's so sad.
It is so sad, because you should be able to sit with your own thoughts. You should be your own confidant. You should be the person
Mm.
that loves you the most, and
Oh,
not
that's
from,
so,
as I
but do
said,
you know how many people don't? And
oh, I think it's
anxiety,
the norm.
the
Yeah.
source of anxiety is your own mind. It is
Mm-hmm.
the narrative and the thoughts that are running at a million miles an hour in your brain, saying things to you. I've done these exercises with people. What are you thinking when we talk about that? What do you think? I can't do it. Why not? Because I'm a loser. Okay.
Mm.
Who tells you that you're a loser? My parents, everyone, everything I've ever done, I can't achieve. Okay. So that's clearly a negative belief that's just there. Okay. So, and then you work through that stuff. And when it all comes down to it, a long time ago, something awful happened. And then you were branded this, you took on that belief, and your brain has been shouting that at you ever since.
Yeah.
It's time
And
to take
really, we're
control.
we're like chameleons. We can change ourselves to whatever we want. And that
We
was,
can.
if you look at that scenario, that was a choice. You chose to take on that image. So
Yep.
all of a sudden you've gone, well, that's who I am, because everybody else is saying to me that that's who I am, and I've
Mm.
accepted that that's who I am.
Yeah.
But you can change that and become somebody else.
But the key with that is empowerment. So a lot of people, I think they take these things on board because they feel that that's a natural part of just growing up and fitting in. And they don't understand that not everyone in your life is actually good for you. Not everyone in your life gives you positive vibes and looks after you. And the only person that you really, at the end of the day, are going to be responsible for and are going to be able to look after is you. And
Yeah.
that is not selfish, that's self-full. So you can have a bunch of relationships around you of different people. People come and go. They come and go in and out of your life. My first marriage, I thought I'd be married forever. He's gone.
Yeah,
Gone years and years ago, thank goodness. People change. People change.
they do.
And we change. And this is what a lot of people are afraid of when you go through the process of self-relationship and getting to know and spending time with yourself and listening to that quiet little inner voice. It says things like, actually, I don't like the way that friend makes me feel.
Yeah.
I don't think that friend is good for us. And then people are scared. They're scared to
What
upset
happens from
social
that? Yeah.
circles or, Yeah, maybe turn around to someone and go, well, actually, that person is continuously mean. They have digs at me all the time and they're constantly putting me down. And when I really sit and examine that friendship, I look at it and I think it's a source of immense stress for me and I don't get anything out of it. So
Yeah,
why do we stay in that
exactly.
friendship?
Exactly right. And I think when you look at especially the friendship side of things, and it's not just that, it can be any relationship in your life. It can also
Yep.
be your work. You end up looking at everything and reevaluating it from a point of view of understanding you and what's important to you in your life, where your
Yeah.
values are, what aligns to your values. We speak about that a lot,
Mm.
and also what it is that you want to project in your life. And so then you do reevaluate everything. You go, well, does this relationship here or this job or whatever, does this support me in this journey?
Yeah.
Am
Yeah.
I am I getting, like, from a job perspective, am I getting the skills that I need that
Mm.
are going to help me with that direction that I want to go? And
Yep.
if not, then what are the things that I need to do to adjust to make that happen?
Yep.
And if it's from a friendship perspective, again, as you said, if it's about letting go of friends, or it could also be, well, okay, I'm not ready to let that go, but I will keep it at a distance and I catch up with them occasionally as
Yeah.
opposed to regularly.
Yep.
And then you'll find that naturally it'll just start to
Drift.
dissolve and fall, yeah,
Mm.
drift away. And it's just allowing things to play their part that they're meant to play in your life, and the ones that
Yeah.
aren't meant to be in your life anymore will drift away. And I think that's the thing, here at the Art of Beautiful Thinking, we like to look at limiting beliefs through that lens, as you said, of
Mm.
self-relationship.
Mm.
And because those beliefs do
Yep.
actually, they tell you about yourself, okay? They
Yeah,
really
they do.
do. And
Yeah.
they become the rules that you live by, and they shape what you ask for. And that goes back to what we were talking about from the environment. It, it,
Mm.
it actually shapes what your environment looks like,
Mm.
because your environment is a mirror of how you think, what you believe, what you put out there, what you project. And
Mm.
so it's really about understanding, looking at it and going, well, what am I avoiding? What am I tolerating? And what do I believe is available to me?
Mm.
Yeah.
And
And
how am I
really
showing up for
recognizing that.
myself? How am I showing
Yeah.
up for myself? I know that I've done a lot of work the last 12 months, and the difference in how I show up for myself in a workplace now, as opposed to where I was before, I'm still on a journey. I'm still not getting exactly what
Mm.
I want, but for the moment, I feel completely different about working than I did before. And I know that that's because I look after me. I show up for myself. I'm not putting myself last for anyone anymore. I'm not squashing myself. I'm just being me. And if that works out, great. And if it doesn't, then that wasn't for me. And that's,
Yeah.
that's what you got to do. And I think people also surprise you as well.
Oh, they
You might
can.
think there's a friendship there. Oh, all right, I'll give that a bit of distance. And they might come back and say, hey, I've noticed that you've really been making some changes lately and I like what I see. And maybe our relationship needs to shift a little bit. I know that my father-in-law did that with my husband. He started pulling back a little bit, and my father-in-law said, I've noticed this, and it opened up a conversation, an honest conversation, where my husband was able to say, oh, look, need a bit of space, da 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 da, and had a few conversations around that, and the relationship I think is stronger.
Yeah, because of it.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes it'll happen without even having the conversation. You just notice that there's a shift in
Yes,
energy within that relationship.
yes,
And there's more open communication, that
yeah,
you're both aligned a lot better.
yeah.
So sometimes it can happen without you even having, or even someone recognizing a change. They're just
Mm.
all of a sudden there's an alignment. Yeah.
Well, I think it
And
builds trust. I
yeah.
think it builds trust in relationships because sometimes you do go through tough things together, and when that happens, or even and you recover and you forgive and move forward, then
Mm,
things can really shift and change, and that builds trust over a long period of time. And the more that you invest in understanding yourself and listening to what it is that you want and getting to know and love yourself, the more confident you are. And that self trust translates into better, like people go, they sense it in you. They're like, they don't think it consciously, but
no.
ultimately they can sense that you trust yourself and that makes you feel safe to trust.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
and that's that frequency change that we talk
Mm,
about, so all of a sudden you are vibrating on a different frequency.
yeah.
And there's things out there that the brain basically is an antenna. So
Yeah.
it's pushing out and attracting to it what it needs, and or what you're projecting. So if you look at that, then it's like, well, what's your frequency? So when you think of limiting belief, then
Mm.
what's the frequency of that, and what's it pushing out there? And
Well,
then,
it's like
it's
a a note that's it's like a the way
yeah,
I think of
a
it,
musical note.
a
Yeah.
musical note that's out
Mm,
of pitch or off.
yeah.
When you're listening to
Mhm.
a symphony and someone goes, "It sounds terrible," and you go, "Oh," I mean, I think we all have like a symphony that our life is, and when we reach for the wrong things and play the wrong instruments or play the wrong tune or go for the wrong thing, it doesn't gel with us properly. It doesn't,
No.
it doesn't hit our, it hits our energy and it feels a bit off and it's sort of, and that's kind of how you know.
Yeah, and that makes sense to me as well. Like, I really like that. That's a really cool analogy, and it makes a lot of sense to me because when you think of that frequency and that it's a musical a note or an instrument that's out of whack or out of tune,
Mm.
how does that make you feel when you hear that? You kind of go, "Ooh," don't
Ooh,
you?
yeah, no.
So you think about that then in the body.
Yeah.
Okay, when
Yeah, in
you're
your nervous
constantly
system.
in that state, yeah, how's
Mm.
that affecting your entire body? Your
Yeah.
entire body, your probably cells are probably all just going, "Ooh, okay, ooh," and
Constantly,
then
constantly,
yeah,
yeah. I know I've felt that
yeah,
way in a workplace here. I've just been walking on eggshells and every day thinking, "Oh my god, what's gonna happen next?" It sets your whole immune system up to be in
mm,
flight or fight, and you just feel exhausted, you know?
yeah, exactly right.
Not worth it.
No, it's not, and this is what a limiting belief can actually do to you
Yeah.
on not just in your, as I said, external environment, but also your internal environment. It can really screw
Mm.
you over. And that's, I believe, also it sets the place up for disease as well.
Yeah,
So it's,
of course.
you know,
Of course. It does. I
yeah,
mean, that's known in science. If you are
yeah.
constantly stressed, your immune system will diminish. Absolutely.
Yeah, well, isn't stress like one of the number one killers in the world?
Well, you need, I mean, I don't know how true this is, but when I studied, they said you need about 40% of stress in your life because if you have
Yeah.
0% of stress, you're basically lying on a couch watching Netflix, stuffing your face with no stress at all. And that's just going to turn you into a fat tub of lard with heart disease very shortly. So you need
So
some
that's a
stress.
different level of stress.
Yeah, but it's delayed, right? So you need some stress. The body is designed to move. You need some sort of purpose in your life. You need to be making decisions and doing some
Mm,
things and growing in some way and interacting with other people. You need something to keep your mind busy and give you
yeah.
a sense of purpose and a vision and something to do. So if you're sort of operating between 40 and 60% stress and the stress goes up and it comes down, but it's kind of okay, we've got to get this work done, or, oh God, we're going to miss the plane or something. It's fine. The
Yeah.
problem comes when you're expected to, or you're so distressed about a situation, or your nervous system is so activated, you're not living the life you want, or you're feeling so disconnected from yourself that you are constantly living in, 80 to 90% stress, and
Yeah.
you're sitting there
Yeah.
all the time, and anything will just set you off, and you've got no buffer, and you just, you know, then yeah, you're in deep shit because your body over time really does learn to
It does learn.
it's just this is normal. This is our new normal now. Our
Yeah.
adrenaline glands are pumping constantly. We're constantly on edge. We're exhausted. Our cortisol's through the roof. Not good for your brain, not good for any part of your body. It's okay in the short term, but long term it'll knock you around.
Exactly. And that is still a self relationship. Okay. So we talk about self relationship. We talk about making a more positive, loving self relationship. But that is still a form of self relationship, and it's a limiting, it's a really negative self relationship. But you're still having it. Yeah.
You mean
Because,
like stuck in flight or fight?
yeah, all of that, like the
Mm,
stuck in flight of, the whole stress, the limiting
mm,
beliefs,
mm.
all of that is a form of self relationship that you're having.
Well,
And
it is in a
literally,
way because you see that a
yeah.
lot in people who are, I think, I mean, I immediately think of people who are like, oh, fuck, I've got to stay in this job because there's nothing out there that's any better.
Mhm,
They're all
mhm.
like this. All employers are like this. I know that I've certainly had that view from time to time. Yeah. Or I've got all these bills to pay and I'm wearing the golden handcuffs. I hate my job, but I've got to stay here because I've got to keep this mortgage and I've got to keep
Yeah,
this car. Why?
yeah,
Why?
yep, yep,
Why do you have to maintain that image? Why can't you just go, fuck it, we'll downsize?
yeah.
And then I can
And
take a different
what's
job.
that telling yourself? I mean, when you do that, what are you telling yourself?
You're bullying yourself. You're bullying
Yeah,
yourself. You're not showing up for yourself. And you're saying to the little tiny soul inside, I am not going to look after you. I am not here to stand up for you. You're going to work in whatever,
exactly.
you're just here. I'm going to flog you. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, yeah.
You're not going to be successful in sort of any
Mhm,
endeavor.
mhm. And it actually shapes your confidence, doesn't it? So it goes back to telling you basically you're not trusting yourself because you keep putting yourself in those situations. So you're telling yourself you don't trust yourself.
Yep.
You're also knocking your confidence because you're going, I can't do anything else. I've got to just keep doing that. Or telling yourself that you're not ready to move on or do new things, or, I don't know enough, I'm not good enough, all of those types of things that we talk about. All of that, limiting beliefs just in general, and especially if you're in that space all the time and you're allowing them to rule your life, then they're shaping your confidence.
And they
if you're
become
someone that's
unconscious. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And if you're someone who believes that you don't have, that you lack confidence, well, how do you talk to yourself?
Yeah. How do you talk to yourself? And when you are lying there in bed at night before you go to sleep, what is your brain yelling at you? Is it saying
Yep.
something?
Are you looking at your day, looking at all the things that you did wrong? Or are you looking at your day going, I'm really grateful that I actually had another day on this planet?
And
Because,
yeah, okay, I could have done that better, but that's a great learning experience for me today.
Exactly.
Next time I'm going to approach it like this, and I'm going to level myself up.
Yeah. Like treat it like, when you go on a holiday, what do you do normally when you go on a holiday? I know for us, we go exploring. We love exploring, right?
Yes.
And we like exploring new things, exploring cultures, exploring new food. It's all about new experiences.
Yeah.
So then every day is a new experience, isn't it? It's a new exploration. Yeah. And regardless of what comes up, and then it becomes, well, okay, how do I choose if something negative comes up or a negative thought pattern? It's like, I got you, let you go. Or looking at it going, okay, why have you come up? Because when something on holiday happens, I know for my husband and I'm going to give you an example. We were in France, this is a couple of years back now, and we were staying in an Airbnb property for about a month. We had rented it out for a month because we were looking at purchasing in the area. So we thought, let's go and stay in the place for a month. And I think
I remember. Yeah.
We were there day 3 or something like that, right? It was day 3. And the place flooded. We came back from going out for the day. We were sort of like, oh gosh, looking forward to just getting home and putting our feet up. And making a cup of tea.
It's been a big
and
day.
We got to the door and there's just water flowing out from underneath the door, and we're going, holy shit, did we leave a tap on? Well, what's going on? And so we've unlocked the door, and luckily in France, a lot of the properties have tile. The tiles are on the bottom floor.
Yeah.
So we've opened the door and we've gone, oh, it's coming out of this cupboard over there. We've opened up the cupboard and it happens to be the water filter system has actually, the pipe for that is actually gone. And it has come loose or whatever. So we've turned it off, but the whole bottom floor was probably flooded about that much, right? And luckily enough, our laptops and stuff like that were up on high benches. We didn't have anything that was low on the ground. And again, as I said, it was a tiled thing, so it was easy enough to mop things out. But the people that we were renting from actually lived next door.
Oh, that was lucky.
Yes, that was like, so he came over, like I messaged him and went, the place is actually flooded. We've gotten here and it's flooded. And he was so apologetic, but we were being very, very calm about it. We were just going, what can we do?
Happens.
It happens. It's like it's just like the floor got a really, really good mop. And we just said to him, look, you may need to keep an eye out for mold down the track or whatever, but otherwise, and he looked at us and he said, I can't understand why you guys aren't freaking out.
What good would that do though?
And that's exactly what we said. We said, what would it do? I said, we're here on holidays. We're looking to move here. It's not your fault. It's not our fault. This has just happened.
Yeah.
It's not something that any of us can control. You're going to fix the problem. That's all cool. So we didn't have hot water for a couple of days because of it.
Oh.
But we were just going, that's all right. It's the middle. The weather was getting hot anyway. So it was like, that's all cool. But the thing about it is, we could have complained and we could have gone, we want our deposit, but, we want to have a week off or whatever. None of that. We just I felt for him because it was like now all of a sudden he's got to run around trying to find a tradesman to come and fix this.
Exactly. Yeah.
All those types of things. But at the same time, I was going, it's not going to ruin our holiday. And I looked at him and I said, it's just a moment. It's only a moment.
Yeah, exactly.
And he just looked at me and he goes, oh my God, I think you need to teach me this because seriously, I'd be freaking out. He goes, I'd be just totally freaking out. I'd be stressed and thinking that it's ruined our entire holiday. And I said, that's the thing. It's a choice, isn't it? Yeah. I can choose to go, yes, it's going to ruin my day or my holiday, or I can choose and go, this was an exciting experiment, wasn't it?
Exactly. It's like when you get food poisoning or something on holidays. Oh, we got bed bugs on fucking
Oh,
holidays.
yeah. Yeah.
Never had that before. But yeah, same thing. You just deal with it. But we don't tend to do that in life, because I think that's the other thing. We get caught up in patterns and behaviors, and we repeat those,
Yeah.
and then we might drive the same way to work every day and end up in the same traffic at the same time and get the shits exactly the same way, and the
Yeah.
road rage, because every day at that time it's always fucking busy.
Yeah. So either leave 10 minutes early or leave, later.
Or,
Or
see if you
work
can
from
work
home for the
something
day.
out, work from home,
Yeah.
or whatever. Anyway, there's a million different ways to deal with it. But
Yeah, exactly.
Change something. This
Yeah.
is the other thing. We're so change averse. People are afraid, I think, and people have told me, we love watching your podcast, but the whole self-relationship thing, it just freaks me out. It makes me think, oh my God, like, it's so deep. How could I possibly go that deep with myself? And I say to them, well, it's not like you've just got to jump straight in the deep end. You can start doing little bits. And the number one thing is to start spending time with yourself. If I was going to marry somebody, and I did, the first thing I want to do is get to know them, right? I'm going to spend time with them. I'm going to listen to them. I'm going to hear what they've got to say. I'm going to watch how they behave, because I only want to be with someone who, like that, doesn't have a super meltdown when the internet goes tits up. That's exactly the kind of person I know, and I know what I want. I know what I'm looking for, and I want to see those green flags. So it's ridiculous that we think we can go through life making all these choices about different things without spending time with us. Learn to love yourself, learn to listen to yourself. And when I split with my first husband, my clinical psychologist, I booked myself in to see a clinical psychologist. I want some guidance. She said, date yourself.
That's good advice.
Date yourself. Yeah. Take yourself out for a meal that you like at a restaurant you enjoy. Take yourself to see a movie. Go out for breakfast by yourself. Buy yourself a really good coffee and sit and enjoy and do something that you really want. Now, to do that, you've got to spend time listening to yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do I like?
Yeah, exactly. What do I like? What do I dislike? It's really understanding you. And sometimes that means, you've got to listen to the crappy stuff that comes through, but you don't have to attach to it. You just see it for what it is, which is crappy stuff. Yeah. And when you start building that really good self-relationship with it, when you start doing that and you start the work on you and the letting go of certain behaviors or recognizing certain behaviors and thought patterns, that's what actually starts to build confidence in you.
Yeah, it does.
Because when you have someone who actually really likes who they are and understands themselves, and they know their values and they know their strengths, they also know their weaknesses and their shadow side, they know themselves pretty well.
There's no surprises. You're not going to knock us down with, you're like
exactly.
This. We'll go, yeah, we know.
You end up being a pretty confident individual because you really like who you are. You like yourself, warts and all. And so it's very hard to rock someone when they're in that state.
It is.
And people will say to you, like, you radiate confidence, or you're just radiating joy, or you're radiating love, or whatever the case may be, because you have actually built a really good relationship with yourself. But it has to start somewhere.
Yeah,
and that may start with you basically reintroducing yourself to yourself.
Yeah, stopping and listening to you. And
remember me?
Yeah. I mean, I go back to my mum a fair bit. I love my mum, but I have never seen anyone completely and utterly abandon themselves she has no idea what she wants or who she is. She is a mirror of the man that is in her life. Common for the silent generation. That's how they were taught to be, making, the men the center of their life. And that's so common. That's massive self-abandonment. And I imagine it would be incredibly difficult now to try and stop and make friends with yourself and listen to who you are. It's something that is a constant work in progress, I think.
Well, it is. And I believe it's something that you do ongoing, like any relationship. Every single relationship requires a little bit of effort and work to keep that relationship going. And it's the same with the relationship with yourself. It requires a little bit of effort and work to develop a really good relationship with self.
Whitney Houston said it best. She definitely said it best. Or sang it best.
Yes, sang it best. And it's the same though the other way. It actually requires a lot of work and effort to think negatively and to pull yourself down, it's just as much effort. So I would look at it and say, why not tweak it and get to know you better?
Well,
and
the little pilot in
understand
your head.
you.
We've talked about
Mm,
this before, haven't we? It's all the little things that you do every day that you don't even realize that you're doing. It's become an automatic behavior, an automatic thought
yeah,
process. And we're so, we like to avoid those or assessing or considering that and examining that about ourselves. And what we like to do instead is just consume entertainment,
yeah.
doom scrolling, whatever, why
Well, it's avoidance, isn't it?
it
That's
is
avoidance.
avoidance. It is
Yeah,
avoidance. If you say to someone, "Why are you buying that expensive new car?" or "Why are you doing this?" Half the time, people haven't really thought through the process. Do you know what I mean? Or what they're
yeah,
sacrificing or the opportunity cost or anything like that. Yeah, and I've caught myself doing it. I've caught myself doing it as well. Why wouldn't I just go and do something different? I think for a long time there, I didn't want to do work that I felt wasn't as meaningful or as important as the work that I'd done before. But yeah, you've just got to sort of give yourself different experiences. Life is different stages. And I think it's so important to, once you build that relationship with yourself, things become a lot more simple.
yeah. If you go back to the conversation about when people are purchasing something, for instance, and why you're purchasing it. I know that Jeff and I, when we were younger, we would easily go off on a weekend and spend a couple of $1,000s just going, well, let's just go shopping because we just wanted to feel good.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Why were we doing it? Just because we wanted to feel
I've
good.
done that. Yep. Yep.
Yeah, and then afterwards we'd look at it and go, oh, we probably shouldn't have spent that much money.
Probably shouldn't have.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, but you go, oh well, we've got the stuff now, and how you hear it time and time again. How often does that stuff keep you happy? Not
Mm.
that often.
No.
However, if it is something that you absolutely love, like you may be someone who loves fashion, and that is
Mm.
how you express yourself is through fashion and all that
Yeah.
type of stuff,
Yeah.
and it's your unique, that's your uniqueness. Well, then that's a different thing. Like I can do the same thing with cars, for instance. And
Oh,
I
yeah,
remember
yeah,
having a conversation. I remember
yeah.
having a conversation with a friend about cars. Like she was talking about how cars are like they're not art, and like I don't understand why cars are expensive or why people get into them. And I said to them, they actually are art. They're a form of art. They've still got lines, they've still got shapes, and I
Mm,
actually can admire a really good car. But
mm.
I love driving. So I'm
Yeah,
someone
you
who
do.
I love
Yeah.
to drive.
Yep.
I actually like driving well-engineered vehicles.
Mm.
I can see the amount of artwork that it takes to design a vehicle.
Mhm,
Like that
mhm.
creativity
Yep.
that comes out of it. And I really appreciate a good car. I appreciate a car that
Mm.
handles really well on the road, that corners really well. But that's because I love driving. Okay. And
Yeah.
that's one of the things that I value. I love driving. And so I'm going to go for good cars.
Mm.
Sometimes they're expensive, sometimes they're not, because I'm actually looking at the handling of it, the look of it, all that
Yeah,
type of
yeah.
stuff.
Yep.
But it's really about if you're purchasing something because it's something that is part of your value system,
Yeah. Yeah.
because it's something that you love doing, then that's a different thing than doing it for the sake of doing it to get joy in the moment that's
Yes.
going to
Or
dissipate as
impressing
soon
other
as you,
people as
yeah, or
well,
impressing other people. Yeah.
everyone else has got a brand new Falcon, I'm gonna go and get one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that kind of stuff.
Exactly right.
I have seen that
Yeah.
too. But again, like it comes back to what is it that you want? And I've seen people over the years just get married and just start bashing out tons of kids. And I'm like, "Why are you having this many children?" And they look at you and just go, "What? Why would you even ask that question?"
It's
Well,
what you're meant to do.
what's the process that you've been to? And then they've turned around to me and gone, "Fuck," like 10 years later, "Fuck, I wish I didn't have 4 kids."
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, "You do know where they come from, right?" Anyway,
But again, it's that thing of, people making a decision because they go, this is what you're meant to do. This is what society says. You get married, you have kids,
yeah.
and that's
Well, they
it.
don't process it. They don't process it. And the
Mm.
other thing is people are scared to say no.
Yeah.
And when you have a strong relationship with yourself, you work out what your limiting beliefs are and you stop saying yes to things that you feel that you should do because of whatever narrative or something that someone's put on you or whatever you feel that you should do because that would make me a good girl or that would make me,
Yeah.
people would be happy with me or I'm doing what my dad wants me to do or my parents or my
Yeah.
husband or whatever. You stop doing that because you
Well, you
have it
narrow your choices, don't you?
because you know what you want and you know what you don't
Yeah.
want.
So all of a sudden your choices are narrow because you're just doing it for everything else, like everybody
Yeah.
else, or staying in that role or the relationship, as you said, or
Yep.
not going into business for yourself because you're afraid to, or any of
Yep.
those things. It comes back to that of you are limiting your choices. But when you actually know you better,
Mm.
all of a sudden you've got plenty of choices because you're not limiting yourself based on what other people are telling you.
So
So you're
you
actually
aren't.
unlimited.
So when people say, "I'll just be realistic," you go, "I am being realistic because I know what I
Exactly.
can
For
do
me.
for me."
Yeah.
And just be realistic. I love that one. Realistic in whose world, under whose belief system, under whose sets of norms, under whose narrative? Well, who are we
Mm.
talking about? What's your version? What is your version of real? And what is my version of real? Are two completely different things. And this is what
And
people forget.
yeah, I mean, I've had people come to me and say, "Oh, what did you think of such and such doing that?" And I usually turn around. My usual comment is, "Who am I to actually tell them what they can and cannot do?
Who
It's their
cares?
life.
Yeah, yeah,
As long as they're not harming anybody, I don't really give a shit what they do.
exactly.
It's up to them."
Yeah,
And
exactly. Live your life,
yeah,
do what you want. Yep.
yeah,
Stay in your
yeah,
lane. Don't get in my lane, and all will
exactly.
be well. Yeah.
And that's the thing. We, as a society, love to hop in other people's lane and tell them
Mm.
what they should and should not be doing. I mean, and I
Exhausting.
see that all the time on Instagram, or not
Mm,
Instagram, but social media as a whole,
mm.
of people feeling that they've got the right to tell someone how to live their life. It's like, are you fucking kidding me?
Or yeah.
It's like, oh
Yeah.
my God. Or
Yes.
telling them, how they should look, how they should
Mm.
dress. It's like, hold
Yes.
on.
You shouldn't wear
You
this
know,
if you're over
yeah.
50. Fuck off.
Oh my God.
Wear what I
You
want.
know, exactly. If that's what brings you joy in your life, go for it. Do what you need to do. Yeah. Step into your power and tell everybody else to fuck off.
And be delusional. There's a lot of things I'm
Yes.
seeing on social media at the moment where people are going, "Oh, I love being delusional. The delusional people get everything." I mean, I love the concept. I think it's great. Yes, let's be delusional. It's actually not being delusional. It's just I'm going to believe in what I want to believe in. And
Yeah.
you may see that as a delusion because you don't understand where I'm coming from or who I am or how I operate. And that's okay. If that's a delusion to you, fine. To me, it's my reality. It's not delusional.
Exactly.
I've assessed it, I've
Exactly.
figured it out, and I've gotten to know myself really, really well. The other upside to having that powerful self relationship is that you actually don't make the same overreaches and dumb mistakes because you know who you are. You have that
Mm.
radical self honesty. Like I'll say right now, no, actually, no, that's not me. I'm not going to do that. I wouldn't go after that thing because that's not me. Or yes, I can definitely
Yeah.
do that. I know I can.
Yeah. Exactly. And I'm going to go back to the thing around the social media stuff. I think also when you have a good relationship with yourself, you don't feel the need to actually judge others or tell others how to live either. So,
I've got to say, I
we
do love a
mentioned
good shit stir. I do love a good shit stir. I know
shit
that's
stir's a little bit different though.
naughty.
Shit stirring is a little bit different because from an Australian perspective, it's a joke. You're pulling someone's leg, you're joking around with them, and it's a very different thing. Sarcastic sense of humour. Us Aussies are good at that, but
Yeah,
it's the feeling the need to basically judge people for the sake of judging them.
yeah.
And what do you get out of it? For that single moment, you feel slightly superior than they do, but are you really?
It's really weird. It's
That's
such a waste
yeah,
of energy, isn't it?
it
Like, why
is.
would you waste all your processing power and giving a shit about that?
Exactly. That's how I look at it. And that's the thing about limiting beliefs, because I look at that and I think to myself, well, what are you thinking about you that you feel that you need to pull someone else down in order to feel better
Mm.
about yourself?
That's a fear
It's
reaction. Whenever people are trying to make you smaller or belittle you, that's coming from their insecurity. That's fear.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. It's their stuff. It's
Mm,
absolutely their stuff.
mm,
And that's what I see a lot of. So, and then I look at that and I go, well, that's shaping their relationship, isn't it, with themselves?
mm,
And
mm,
it's also shaping their external relationships because they're judging everyone.
mm, mm.
And they
Yeah.
will also be being judged all the time because that's the mirror.
Yeah, that's the mirror. And that's another thing actually that I find is really interesting too. When you've got that strong self relationship, you start to see through the bullshit a lot. You
Mm.
start to because you don't. It's kind of like the wool's pulled away from your eyes,
Yeah.
and you don't tolerate the same stuff. And things like you notice when people are trying to have a little dig or doing things, and you do stuff like saying, "Well, I'm only going to be around genuine people who will celebrate when I do something well."
Yeah.
Who are gonna be
Exactly.
genuinely happy for me if I do well at something. That's a
Yeah.
massive green flag that I probably learned through more self-awareness and made that decision. And when people see you doing well and they're your friend and they are pulling you down or start undermining or saying negative things or trying to for years, I didn't recognize this stuff. And through self-awareness and that relationship with myself, I started saying, "Oh, actually, I don't deserve that. I deserve better than that."
Mm.
Because I put out
Exactly.
into the world genuine positivity towards my friends and I would like that back.
Yeah.
And a lot of a lot of us are stuck in that stuff because, yeah, you don't have that good relationship with yourself.
Yeah,
Mm.
exactly right. So I think limiting beliefs, they they can make you self-abandoned, can't they? It's that whole thing of
They're the
you're
program. It's
actually
running in the
really yeah.
background. It's like you've got your hardware and the limiting beliefs are the software, the glitchy, nasty software that hasn't been updated for 20 years.
It needs to be deleted.
Needs to be deleted,
Like
but we need to put in a
clean
new
that
operating
RAM.
system.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was gonna say clean that RAM, get
Yeah,
rid of
because 'cause
it.
you're the techie. Exactly. So, yeah, we need to do an update, and we all know that updates can be a little bit painful sometimes,
Exactly.
but they're
Exactly.
always
Put
better in
that
the
new
end.
software in there. Yeah, exactly right. So yeah, I think it really is about learning about you again and reintroducing yourself to yourself.
Mm.
I find mirror work is fantastic for that as well.
Love mirror
Of
work.
actually facing yourself in the mirror and having a good old conversation with self, and especially around telling yourself that you like who you are,
I've
and
started
or
doing it in the car.
recognizing, okay, I could have done that a little bit different. But I think when you stare at yourself in the mirror, and not from the perspective of, well, as a woman, I'm putting on my makeup or I'm doing my
Mm-mm-mm.
hair,
No.
or a guy, I'm brushing my teeth or shaving, because you're not actually really looking at yourself.
Mm.
Really look at yourself as if you're having a conversation with your best friend,
I
and
do it
then
in the car
start.
now. I do it in the bloody
Yeah,
rear vision mirror.
that's
Pop up.
fantastic. I love
I'll
it.
look at myself and go, "Well, that was interesting," you know? Something like that. People are gonna think I'm fucking mad. Anyway,
But it is exactly that. You're having a conversation with a mate. So,
yep,
and it's a good conversation. And so
best
start
way, best
doing
way.
that.
Yeah.
Best way. That's the best way to start that relationship with self, is to actually look at yourself in the mirror and start having a
Do you know what
conversation.
amazes me, honestly, Eva, is that people are out there every day, all day, and they're looking for answers. They're burned out. They're looking at religion. They're joining the manosphere. They're going from one extreme to another. They're forsaking all men and hating on men, some groups, or they're completely decided that they're going to do something totally different and shut down their whole life and bugger off and sell everything and get in a truck and travel around Australia for the next however long. It's so interesting. People are looking for something to give their life meaning and purpose and to bring them back to themselves. And they don't realize the simplest thing. It's right here. It's just I think it's such a simple concept that, but yet people are so bamboozled as to how to do it that people don't believe it.
Yeah, I think it's because they go, it's too simple,
Mm.
and they're looking for a quick fix, and I'm afraid that there's no quick fix. And sometimes we go to prescription drugs or drugs in general for a
Mm.
fix, or alcohol, or manosphere stuff, or someone else's latest get rich quick scheme, whatever.
Yeah.
And rather than stopping and going, what's true to me?
Mm.
What is my truth? Like, I remember when as a kid, I don't know how old I was, but when I got right into reading, and I've always loved reading. I mean, like at the moment, I think I'm reading 10 different books at once. It's crazy, but it's just me. And I remember the first time, I can't even remember who said it, but I was reading this particular book, and I think it may have been one of my first spiritual books or something like that I was reading. And in this book, it said, do not believe everything that I tell you, because this is
Ah,
my truth. Yeah, it's like, this is my truth. You need to find your truth.
mm.
And what you want to do when you're reading these types of books or this type of material is find your truth that's in there. Find the things that stand out for you, and you go, aha, there's my truth.
That's the yogi book, isn't it? I think it was the yogi one because I'm pretty sure I read that too, and he said the same thing in that.
Possibly, possibly.
Yeah, and look at what works for you, and that's the most important thing. And when people go,
Mm,
"What's the secret to happiness?" and you always see, the sages go, "It's what's in here." And people go, "Oh,
yeah,
that's too hard. It means
yeah.
nothing."
But it does, because most people think they already know what's in here, but they
Yeah,
don't.
no,
They don't have a very good relationship with self. So
no,
the
no.
thing about it is really finding your truth and working out at first what that
Mm,
truth actually is.
yep.
And again, that goes back to and seeing the difference, I suppose, between truth and conditioning,
Mm,
because there's a
mm,
big difference between the two of them.
yeah.
Because conditioning is about where you learnt something, as in truth is knowing
Yes.
what's important to you.
But I think
Truth is
we've
knowing who
lost
you
that.
are.
We've lost
Yeah.
it, and now we need
Yeah.
to. I think the
Come back to it.
people, yeah, we need to come back to it. I think the people that are going to be the ones that move forward with ease and the happiness that we talk about are going to be the ones that do that.
Yeah.
It is the
Well,
answer.
it's pretty much. I mean, what we're talking about is nothing new. It's not like we've
No,
gone all
no.
of a sudden going, "Aha! we have come up with this information and look at us, we are
There's nothing
fabulous
new
and
under the
we're,
sun.
it's nothing new. We are talking about things that have been around in existence forever and a day.
Yeah.
And again, if you look at the ancient philosophers, you look at the ancient spiritual paths, it was all about connecting back to self.
Yeah.
And understanding self.
Yep.
And they built entire civilizations on that. Like the ancient Egyptian civilization was totally built around that. And so, and then you look at things like Kabbalah, but you look at that, same sort of thing. It's all about coming back to you and understanding you. I think the difficulty is sometimes these older texts, this older information, it's been developed around cultures that lived that way every day, that spirit and living from that place and understanding self was, as I said, the center of the culture
of their
and
life.
everything else was built around it. So it was a lot easier to tap into that. These days we've lost that connection, it's about coming back to it. And I think because we have lost that connection is why a lot of us feel lost.
Don't know who the hell we are because we don't know who the hell we are.
Exactly.
Yeah. How can you possibly know?
There's a part of us that is saying, "Hi, I'm here." It's that quiet voice that has never left you, that has always been there. It's like a deep inner peace that when you get rid of the noise, you can feel it. And it's about tapping back into that.
Yeah.
So when we talk about self-relationship, it's, yes, you're going through the layers, you're peeling the layers back, but it's actually about getting back to that quiet inner voice.
Yeah, 100%.
That
that
the
is
heart,
completely drowned out by all the bullshit of today.
Exactly. And that's because we're not in our heart space, we're in our head space. And the head space was never actually meant to be the leader. The heart was meant to be the leader. And, I was listening to a podcast just before, I can't remember the gentleman's name, but he made a comment to say, once a person gets to a point of the heart becomes the intelligence and the brain becomes the emotion, then they're actually going to see deep change in their life.
Wow, that's incredible.
It is incredible. And that's really what it's about when we talk about self-relationship. It's about tapping back into who you truly are at the core. And when you start living life from that place, you start getting direction from the heart. You start getting that deeper understanding. You start being able to hear the intuition more. You start hearing that quiet voice giving you a pathway forward where, especially when you're a stressful situation. That's not to say things won't happen. You're still going to have things happen. The different things is you're not going to react to them. You're going to see them for what they are and go, okay, what do I need to take away here?
It's like a superpower.
And you'll actually trust yourself for the answer.
Yep. And just all of that noise and all of that stress being out of your head just lets you sit in your body and do, we'll just sort this out. It's incredibly powerful. Incredibly powerful.
Incredibly. And I can't, I can't say how important it is. Like, I honestly believe that we are here to evolve. We are here to express ourselves fully. And when I talk about that, you've got your own way of expressing your own uniqueness. But if you don't know you, how are you going to express yourself fully?
Exactly.
How are you going to achieve the things in this lifetime that you have always wanted to do but have held yourself back because you don't believe in yourself?
And you don't stop and listen to hear what you really want. Exactly.
Exactly. So, going back to the beginning, a limiting belief is not just a thought. It's actually a story that you have mistaken for truth. And it's not who you are. It really isn't.
No. Don't let it control your life.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. So this takes us back to this episode is episode 3 of our Authentic Life Blueprint series. And in our workbook, we uncover limiting beliefs. So it's one of the topics that we talk about in the workbook. So we begin this work by really looking at yourself honestly. And we look at the beliefs and the patterns and the values and the choices that we're actually been making that have been shaping our lives. And we're not doing it because it's about criticizing yourself. It's got nothing to do with that. It's really about, as I said, starting that relationship with yourself. But you've got to start it by understanding you. So we uncover those things. Yeah. And because once you can actually see the story, of the story that you've created, you can then begin to question what is actually true. And what isn't.
And it's super powerful because I've done it. I've done it in the module, in the workbook, and it's incredibly liberating. Totally worth doing.
I think I'd love for everyone on this planet to absolutely do it. It'd be fabulous.
To experience that. Yep, being released from the bullshit prison in your head.
Phenomenal. All I can say is that personal growth and that reflecting internally has been one of the most profound things that I have ever done in my entire life.
Yeah, it makes
And
everything else feel better.
it
It makes
does.
everything else brighter, happier, more
It
interesting.
does.
Yeah, it does. It has a knock-on
It's
effect.
just, oh, it certainly does. And words cannot describe how it makes me feel about me in this lifetime. And I'm so proud of myself that I actually took that initial step
Mm.
to uncover the truth about me.
Yeah. Yep.
And I also put that out to you,
Mm.
uncover the truth about you.
Mm.
So if this conversation speaks to you in some way, the Authentic Life Blueprint workbook is something that pops out for you, look, by all means, that's the best place to begin.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, we would love to hear what you got out of today's episode. If you had any aha moments out of this, yeah, just provide your comments below. That'd be fabulous.
Mm.
And remember to always think beautifully and live brilliantly. Until next time, ciao.
Bye-bye.
We'd like to say a huge thank you to our incredible audience for your continued support. Our mission is to ignite your spark, empowering you to be a beacon of light for others. We'd love to hear from you. So if you've got any questions that you would like answered in future episodes or just want to share some insights, connect with us on our Facebook community page. If you're looking for additional resources, go to our website. You'll find the link below. And remember, the absolute best way to help us grow is to share this episode with your friends and family and to subscribe to the Art of Beautiful Thinking podcast. So until next time, think beautifully and live brilliantly.